You've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Judges and two separate juries have found him liable for rape and for defaming the victim of that rape. How do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw?
Well, I will tell you, I was raped at the age of 16. And any rape victim will tell you, I've lived for 30 years with an incredible amount of shame over being raped. I didn't come forward because of that judgment and shame that I felt. And it's a shame that you will never feel, George. And I'm not going to sit here on your show and be asked a question meant to shame me about another potential rape victim. I'm not going to do that.
It's actually not about shaming you. It's a question about Donald Trump.
No, you are shaming me.
You've endorsed Donald Trump for president.
Right.
Donald Trump has been found liable for rape by a jury. Donald Trump has been found liable for defaming the victim of that rape by a jury. It's been affirmed by a judge.
It was not a criminal court case, number one. Number two, I live with shame. And you're asking me a question about my political choices, trying to shame me as a rape victim, and I find it disgusting. And quite frankly, E. Jean Carroll's comments when she did get the judgment, joking about what she was going to buy, it makes it harder for women to come forward when they make a mockery out of rape, when they joke about it.
Doesn't it make it harder for women to come forward when they are
It makes it harder when other women
candidates?
joke about it, and she's joked about it. I find it offensive. And I also find it offensive that you're trying to shame me with this question.
I'm not trying to shame you at all. In fact,
I have dealt with this for 30 years. You know how hard it was to tell my story 5 years ago when they were doing a fetal heartbeat bill and there were no exceptions for rape, incest, rape or incest in there? I had to tell my story because no other woman was coming forward. No rape victims were represented. And you're trying to shame me this morning.
I'm just asking.
And I find it offensive, and this is why women won't come forward.
Women won't come forward because they're defamed by those who perpetrate rape. Donald Trump
they are judged and they're shamed, and you're trying to shame me this morning. I think it's disgusting.
I'm not shaming you at all.
I told my story. It took me 25 years to tell my story. I was judged for it. I still get judged for it today.
I'm asking you a very simple question.
And I answered it. You're shaming me for my political choices.
I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape.
It was not a criminal court. It was a civil court. It was a civil court. And by the way, she joked about the judgment and what she was going to do with all that money. And I find that offensive.
I'm asking you about the man
But as a rape victim who's been shamed for years now because of her rape, you're trying to shame me again by asking me this political question.
You've repeated that again.
I think it's offensive. As a woman, I find it offensive. My political choices, I've endorsed the man that I believe is best for our country. It's not Joe Biden. And you looked at the dueling rallies yesterday in Georgia. Laken Riley's family was with Donald Trump. They weren't with Joe Biden. The same guy yesterday that apologized for calling her killer an illegal, who wasn't illegal. And here you are trying to shame a rape victim. I find it disgusting.
I mean, you keep saying I'm shaming you.
You are. The question, it is.
How is the question asking you about a presidential candidate who's been
You're asking a rape victim.
And there's no question about that. And
you've
courageously talked about that.
Because I've been raped. I think that's disgusting.
No, I'm questioning your political choices because you're supporting someone who's been found liable for rape. Actually, I'm not trying to shame you.
You are. That's exactly what you're doing.
You're not answering the question.
I think it's disgusting.
Well, you're welcome to say that, but you also have to answer the question. Why are you supporting someone who's been found liable for rape?
I just answered your question.
What is the answer?
He was not found guilty in a criminal court of law. It was sexual abuse. It wasn't actually rape, by the way. And E. Jean Carroll joked about all the money she's going to get and made a mockery out of this case. And I think that's offensive. There's a reason why women don't come forward. And when you have someone who says that they're raped and they make a mockery out of this civil court judgment, it's offensive to other women. It makes it harder for other women to come forward when another woman has made a mockery of it.
You said women don't come forward because they are afraid. They are afraid because they are defamed
and shamed
by those
like you're trying to shame me this morning.
They are afraid to come forward, as you said, because they are defamed by those who commit the rape. That's what Donald Trump has been found guilty of doing.
He defended himself over that and denies that it ever happened, but he was not found guilty in a criminal court of law. It was a civil judgment over sexual abuse. So is that the distinction you're making? A civil judgment is okay, but a criminal judgment is not? This is different, and they didn't even input all of the evidence into the civil case either, because some of the information she provided wasn't even accurate or correct. But to sit here and ask me as a rape victim to try to shame me for my political choices is wrong, and I think it's offensive.
You can repeat that again and again and again.
And I'm going to because I find it deeply offensive.
You don't find it offensive that Donald Trump has been found liable for rape?
I find it offensive as a rape victim that you're trying to shame me for my political choices. And I've said again repeatedly, E. Jean Carroll has made a mockery out of rape by joking about it. I don't find that funny.
Well,
rape is not funny.
You've made it
rape
perfectly
is
clear.
serious.
You've made it perfectly clear. You're
Rape
comfortable.
is serious.
It is
it's
serious.
Not funny, and it shouldn't be made a mockery of. But if you want to defend a woman who made a mockery out of rape, then you go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do that.
Well, actually, what you're doing is defending a man who's been found liable for rape. I don't understand how you can do that.
Not in a criminal court of law. This was a civil judgment over sexual abuse, not rape, by the way, and she made a mockery out of it.
Can we pull up the
which one are
Washington
you going
Post headline right there? In fact, it has been shown to be rape. The judge affirmed that it was, in fact, rape. Donald Trump was found to have committed rape. That's just a fact.
That is a civil judgment, not a criminal court. They're two very different things, and you know better.
Well, I just showed you the facts.
You know better.
You show that you're very comfortable with what Donald Trump has done.
And what you've done is offensive to women who've been raped. What you've done this morning is offensive.
We'll let the viewers decide about that.
An apology today from ABC's George Stephanopoulos, and he did it right on Good Morning America. The newsman admitted that he should have been more transparent about his donations to the Clinton Global Foundation.
I don't need any reminder that George Stephanopoulos used to work in Bill Clinton's White House. That's how I first met him, on the '92 Clinton campaign, and then later as a top White House official. I interviewed George. I got spun by George. He was a aggressive practitioner of the political arts. Then he tried to leave all that behind him and become an ABC commentator and then an ABC journalist. But the shadow of being part of the Clintons, having worked with Hillary Clinton as well as Bill Clinton, has hung over him all this time. It's a shadow he has worked to dispel as he has become the host of This Week and, of course, a co-anchor on Good Morning America. He has now placed that entire tenure under a shadow. I hate to be so harsh about it, but the worst thing that George Stephanopoulos could have done is to have to disclose belatedly after the fact that he had some further involvement in the Clintons. And so here he is contributing, it turns out, $75,000 to the Clinton Foundation. Shouldn't have done it. Should have given to any charity in the world except that one. And then he doesn't tell his bosses at ABC News, and he doesn't tell the viewers, even as Hillary Clinton is gearing up, obviously, for a presidential campaign, even as the Clinton Foundation itself explodes into the news, and Stephanopoulos is handling stories on it, and then he's interviewing the Clinton Cash author Peter Schweitzer and giving him a pretty tough time. Does it not occur to him that if he doesn't tell the viewers, hey, I too am a Clinton Foundation donor, that he's setting himself up for trouble? Then ABC totally screws over the conservative website Washington Free Beacon, which gets hold of the story, calls for comment, which is a smart and proper journalistic thing to do. Instead, ABC, it looks like, gives the story to Politico to get more sympathetic treatment. But even there, the damage control has been awful, because the statement of apology that Stephanopoulos put out, and I give him credit for apologizing, all talked about how he should have disclosed it, but didn't say he shouldn't have given that money in the first place, which is a no-brainer for any journalist, and particularly a journalist who used to work for the Clintons.
If you had been vice president, would you have certified the 2020 election results?
These are crazy. This is like a hypothetical going forward and a hypothetical going backward. I'm not going to entertain that. What I will entertain is talking about how do we go forward. And going forward, when we get an America First president and some great leadership in the Senate and the majority, we're going to do great things for the American people.
Do you still believe that your election was stolen?
We had major problems in our election, and we're really working to resolve those problems. We still have some court cases. What I'm concerned about going forward in the next election is that my radical opponent, Ruben Gallego, wants to give 9 to 12 million people who poured in illegally, invaded our country, the ability to vote. He wants them all to vote. That's wrong.
Did anyone give you advice to not talk about the 2020 election?
No. 2020 election, I think it was a rigged election. President Trump, I believe it was. But what I'm trying to do is look forward.
I love your ears.